In this video, I'm going to show you a 3-step process to help you eliminate your SI joint pain. You may have tried chiropractic adjustments, heat, ice, TENS unit, or massage and only found temporary relief. You may also need it to go as far as a cortisone injection or even a nerve ablation, which in my opinion is not necessarily where you should go first. I would exhaust all options before doing one of those, especially the nerve ablation. You can get a short period of relief, but then I've seen it time and time again, the symptoms come back and they come back worse than they've ever been before. You also may have currently found that ibuprofen or prescriptive pain meds are your best friend. There's certainly no shame in that, but I think we all know that's not a great long-term solution. Circling back to the adjustment piece, one thing that I commonly hear from people that have seen chiropractors in the community is a leg length discrepancy or a pelvic shift. There's no strong evidence to suggest that we can reliably test that and reliably change that. So in my opinion, if you've gone down that road of always thinking that one side's off or one side's shorter, you're not going to find a solution. The solution lies with finding exercises that are targeted, that are designed to improve the motion of the SI joint and also build up the capacity of the tissues around it. And that's what we're going to cover today. But first, let me just give you an idea of what the SI joint is and where it's located. Okay, so we got the model here. The SI joint is formed by 2 bones, the sacrum. So this is looking at the back of you, the sacrum, your tailbone's right here, and then the ilium, this guy right here. So you'll see it's actually a fairly large joint and it doesn't move this much, but this is sort of the pattern of the movement that happens during something like gait, or if you go down into a back squat, it opens up a bit in the back. Now, this joint is technically classified as a diarthrodial synovial joint, kind of a mouthful. That basically means a freely moving joint that's encapsulated and has synovial fluid inside of it. Now the big debate here is, does this joint even matter? Because it only has 3 degrees of rotation and roughly 1 to 2 millimeters of translation, which isn't a lot at all. But if movement here didn't matter, then people who end up getting SI joint fusions or have inflammatory arthropathy, various conditions with the body that causes these bones to actually fuse, if this wasn't a problem, then those people wouldn't have such major issues with their SI joint, because I've seen that time and time again. If we fuse both of these surgically or fuse one of these people have a really, really hard time, even if they're in their 30s. So now that we have the anatomy out of the way, let's get into the 3 exercises that are going to build on each other to get you back to living pain-free. Okay. So the first one is called a scissor slide. I'm going to show you with the model just so you can kind of understand it. You're going to be laying on your side. So imagine you're laying on this hip with your feet against the wall. And then what I want you to imagine is one leg, one femur, this leg bone, is actually going to slide and reach this way as this one stays fixed. Okay? And again, there's not a ton of motion here happening at the SI joint, but what we're doing is we're creating a turn in the sacrum, this bone here, and we're actually getting it to rotate this way. Okay? So if you can kind of see, as we create that turn, this side goes forward and we get a bit of motion here on this left side SI joint, and then the bottom side, which in this case is the right, gets actually a bit of a gapping effect. So if you come here, you'll see as this side goes forward, that side actually opens up. Okay? And if you do this correctly, you'll feel either both of these moving or you'll feel more on the top side. Okay, so let's go through it. You're gonna grab some pillows or some pads, just find the ground and find a wall. Okay. You wanna make sure that you stack your hips and your shoulders right on top of each other rather than being rotated in the spine, okay? So, I'm gonna place my feet on the wall with my shins perpendicular to the wall and my knees at roughly 90 degrees. Notice here that because I'm looking down at my feet trying to make sure I'm in the right position, my whole torso and head is scrunched over. So after you find that position there, I would suggest reorienting your upper body so you can get a little bit more stacked. 90 degrees roughly at the knee, 90 degrees roughly at the hip. A couple key coaching points here. What I'm gonna have you do is gently press your heels into the wall. As you do that, your glutes and hamstrings will actually kick on a little bit and cause your pelvis to tuck under, okay? So the opposite of arching, this would be arching, this would be tucking, okay? So give me maybe like a 20% tuck. The way you can find that is you can arch and tuck as far as possible and then just do a percentage of that. So just maintain that tuck for me. This hand can be here or here, whatever's comfy. And then literally all I'm gonna ask you to do is I'm gonna ask you to slide your top knee forward, roll forward, keeping your feet super glued to the wall. And then you're gonna come back. And rather than coming back to neutral, I want you to try and come back past that knee, okay? So we're actually getting some good activation in the muscles in the groin, getting some good glute work in. Here and here. I like timing this with the breath as well. So we'll go ahead and exhale out through the mouth and then inhale back. Exhale out, inhale back, okay? And what you'll notice is you're gonna tend to wanna arch the more you do these. So you'll start to get tension in your low back. Try to not do that. So touch back in with pressing your heels into the wall, tucking your pelvis, and just maintaining that. And don't force the end range. Just allow it to happen a little bit more every time you do it. And I usually get the question with sets and reps. What I typically recommend as a starting point is 2 sets of 20 reps per side, twice per day. If we're trying to make some significant changes to a very stiff tissue that already doesn't move much to begin with, then we have to have a lot of consistency and a lot of frequency dosed in for a while in order to make a change. I think that's probably the number one thing when people try and improve motion at the SI joint. They try for maybe 3 or 4 days and then give up because they haven't seen a change yet. You got to stick with this for at least, I would say, 2 weeks with that level of consistency to know if it's going to make a change for you. Exercise number 2. This is where we're actually going to start to work a little bit harder. This one is called a kickstand hinge, okay? I've shown it many times on this channel before. The goal with this one is to work the glutes, loosen up the hips, and also give you a good sense of foot pressure into the ground. Because if we can control foot pressure into the ground, then a lot of things upstream end up freeing up and also getting stronger and more stable. So I typically would start people, if you don't have a good base and strength, I would either have you hold on to a wall, hold on to a rig or a countertop, or just use a broomstick or a dowel. And then this is the way I like to coach it. I usually have people go barefoot. So if we're doing the right side, I would put this in your left hand, and then you're going to lift the left foot. The knee's gonna go forward. Notice my torso stays upright. And then this foot goes behind you. Hence the kickstand. This is here for balance only, not for you to put weight on. So all of that weight should be on the front foot. From this position, I'm gonna take my pelvis and I'm gonna dial it about 5 degrees towards that side. And then keeping that knee forward, I'm gonna put one hand on the cheek, the area of interest that I wanna work. And then I'm going to reach back with my hip and look out over a canyon. So imagine like you're at the Grand Canyon and you're trying to look down to see what's down there. You're gonna wanna reach back as far as you can here to counterbalance your weight and get your eyes as far this way as you can. Notice that my knee did not come back. So if you do this, changes the exercise entirely and you're just getting a massive hamstring stretch, which isn't bad, it's just not what we're looking for with this exercise. So one more time, foot up, knee forward, chest stays upright, foot's here for balance. I'm gonna rotate my pelvis towards that side, one hand on the cheek, and then you're gonna reach back and then look out over a canyon. My goal for you here is to be able to work up to being able to hold this for, wait for it, 60 seconds. 60 seconds, so everything is gonna be burning like crazy. Typically where I start people, 10-second holds for 3 to 4 sets, and then go to the other side, and then build slowly from there. I'll show you the option without the dowel. So we go here, boom, here, and then the way that I like to coach this one is actually fingertips on this side go in your hip crease, one hand on the cheek, and then you're gonna basically karate chop the hip back and sink down into that glute. You can also work on pulses here, okay? We can go up, we can go down. Finally, with the kickstand hinge, if you get to a point to where the 60 seconds for a few sets is not that big of a deal, then you could always add some weight. The third and final exercise, a Hinge Split Squat. There's going to be some similarities and carryover from the kickstand hinge, absolutely, but you'll notice that this one is quite a bit more difficult. It requires more strength, it requires a bit more coordination, and also requires a lot more mobility to do it correctly. Here's how I do it. The traditional split squat would be about 50-50 weight distribution, and then sinking straight down in an elevator. That's a fantastic exercise. I give that to people all the time, and that will help with the SI joint, absolutely. The difference with this one, I'll show the version first and then we'll coach it, is as you go down, you are actually going to hinge over at the hip a little bit, hence the Hinge Split Squat. So we're gonna bias some of the tissues back here a little bit more than the split squat on the quads. So this is what it would look like. We're gonna be here and here, okay? You'll notice that my torso is coming forward and I'm turning in to that side just a little bit. A little bit easier to see with my shoes off. So here's the way that I would like for you to do it. The details do matter. We want to start in a position where the knee is behind the ankle, so you have a negative shin angle. Essentially imagine like you're just in a gait cycle and your heel is about to come in contact, like you're walking, and your heel is about to come in contact with the ground, and then the foot drops. That's about where you'll start, with a little softness in the knee. And then you'll just be a little bit more spread out with the legs. And we're gonna start with about 55-60% of your weight on that back leg, and then you're gonna slowly translate to about 55-60 to the front leg. And as you do that, I'm gonna have you just try and relax in the trunk as much as you can and hinge over, chest over knee, and then back up. Should maintain some good, solid, even foot pressure within both sides of the heel, base of your big toe and base of your pinky toe. And just notice how that weight transfers more to the front as you come down and then more to the back as you come up. From the front, there's a couple things to look at. From a coaching perspective, I want you to, again, turn the pelvis and torso towards that side a little bit. Kind of like that kickstand hinge when we were here and we were here. I want you to think as you come down, you're gonna wind in, and then as you come out, you're gonna wind up or wind out, however you want to think about it. So it's almost like this winding action and up. A couple things to pay attention to if you're looking at yourself in the mirror. Do you have the prerequisite mobility to sink straight down and keep this knee in line? I'm not saying it's unsafe if you can't, but it may lead to different compensations and pain patterns more upstream in the low back or even in the hips. So what it would look like would be something like this. I see this one all the time, is you're kind of here, right? Because you don't have enough hip extension and you don't have enough hip internal rotation to sink into that position. Finally, if you want to add some weight, dumbbell, even a cable stack, my preference is a kettlebell, and we would just be here. Starting 55-60 back, translating that weight forward, and then again, just turning in and coming out. Notice how the kettlebell is starting in line with my other leg, and then it's finishing right inside my arch on this side. So this may be enough to get you out of pain. Absolutely may be. but it also might not be. If you want the pain relief and you're not getting it, or you want more than just pain relief, you want to work on strength, power, performance, we help people like you every single day not only get out of pain, but get back to living the life that they want to live. If you're looking for one-on-one help, then head over to our website at movementrx.com. That's mvmtrx.com. And also, if you like this video, I would love it. It would help me out a ton if you could just hit that like button and subscribe, because we're putting out videos every single week just like these. See you guys next time.